In Alaska, even the most practiced pilot feels a rush of childhood excitement, as if handed the keys to adventure. Snow-capped ridges, graded rivers, glaciers that look like they were drawn by a kid with a blue crayon and no regard for scale. Brett had left a day early to go home to his family, so I jumped in with Steve. The four of us made our way to Anchorage, landed at Lake Hood, and taxied to customs at Anchorage International. In the last video, we hopped our way through Canada and finally crossed into Alaska and on to Anchorage. This time, we actually find out what Alaska has in store for us.
Clear to land runway 323, Charlie Delta, flight of 4.
529 west, clear for takeoff.
First stop after Whitehorse is Anchorage. Lake Hood Airport looks more like a backcountry meetup than a big city airport. But when you taxi over to Anchorage International, you're greeted with some of the biggest airplanes in the sky. Well, we made it to Anchorage International Airport. There's a big control tower over here, just going through customs, and then we're going to taxi back over to Hood, take off, and fly over to where we're staying. We clear U.S. Customs, answer the usual questions, and before long, the agents realized we're just a bunch of kids with pilot's licenses and too many cameras. From Anchorage, we point the noses towards Wasilla. We're at our home base here in Alaska. Got all the planes parked over here. We're riding our one wheels over to Keith's house. Gonna go scope things out and then probably come back and get our luggage. Our home base for this adventure isn't a hotel or even a cabin we found online. It's Keith Lang's place. A house tucked next to a grass strip where neighborhood traffic means super cubs and tail draggers instead of minivans. Keith meets us to give us a lay of the land and welcome us into his home. He just says, "Make yourselves at home." And suddenly this quiet Alaskan strip becomes a mini fly-in. Airplanes fill the little parking area, gear everywhere, and a bunch of grinning adults pretending to be responsible. Day one is pretty relaxed. We drive into Palmer and visit the famous aircraft spruce store and warehouse. Then we head over to Birchwood Airport to meet up with Abe and the crew at Helio, Alaska. They've taken on a project to recreate the new and improved Helio Courier. We even get a ride to see what this bad boy's all about. It's pretty dang impressive. Well, we stopped by the new Helio Courier. I guess looks like maybe they're going to call it the Helio Alaska. They're going to take us for a ride. Morning number 2 in Wasilla. No itinerary, just a rough idea. Trent heads off to fly with the Cub boys, but our plan is to head to the Knik and Colony Glacier and see what happens. Which in pilot terms means we're about to land somewhere that doesn't show up on your charts. We drop into Mud Strip. This sliver of land between the Knik and Colony Glacier looks more like a mistake on your satellite image than a runway. Keith, Steve, Ryan, and Aaron, we're all trading landings like kids trading baseball cards. It's no mud strip on this day. It feels more like the tarmac at Anchorage International, but a much better view. Shortly after landing, Brett finds us in his Hawk wagon.
My man! I've got something for you.
Damn.
They held it up in security. I don't know why, man, but UPS held it up.
Can't keep me out of Canada, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Look at that,
Right.
you are a
Let's
US
make sure.
citizen.
Make sure.
Fancy.
They didn't believe me, but yep, there we are.
All right.
I'm legal.
The TFR that's over Colony Glacier right now is because back in the 50s, there was a military transport aircraft that actually crashed way up high at the top of Colony Glacier. And over the years, all of that movement in the glacier is now like bringing aircraft parts and human remains down with it. And so they're becoming exposed again. And so the military motto, as you know, Steve, is no man left behind. And so they are out there painstakingly going through all the wreckage to make sure that every service member is recovered and returned to their family.
Well, our first backcountry strip here in Alaska. We landed on Mud Strip down there. And we are between two glaciers, the Colony Glacier up here and the Knik back over here. Pretty incredible. We're on a huge moraine between the glaciers, and now we're walking down to Lake George. With glaciers spilling down the valleys on both sides of us, lakes filled with calved glacier ice, this is the kind of place that makes you forget about fuel burns and hub times. It's just you, your friends, and a strip that vanishes if you look away too long. Somewhere in there, we all silently agree not to tell our insurance companies how much fun we're having.
It dissipates before my eyes, buried under endless pavement and concrete walls, and other symbols of our rise.
Well, it's too bad I don't have my own plane, but I really appreciate you letting me ride with you, Keith. This is incredible. That was a fun little hike up to Lake George. I think it's called Lake George. And the Colony Glacier and the Knik Glacier over here. So get up in the air and go fly around them a little bit and see what we see.
Crowds of people moving from the side to side, like the waves upon the shore. Plastic man will save the day now, fractured to the core and burn my bloody war.
Pilots can't resist a good fly-in playground, so we point the planes toward Big Lake and John Kotwicki's Fly 8 MA Pilot Lodge, an air park that looks like someone crossed a bush strip with an aviation theme park. The strip isn't on the lake itself. It's a pair of crossing runways carved into the trees with old cargo planes parked off the side, now converted into full-blown Airbnbs, plus some cabins tucked around the field. John gives us a little tour of his home base, walking us through this little piece of paradise that he's building, where every runway, fuselage, and cabin feels like it was designed by and for pilots, complete with plans for its own tower someday. The next day, Keith tosses me the keys to his PA-18, and suddenly I'm leading the pack up the Susitna River, following a ribbon of water that winds straight at Talkeetna. It's the kind of flight where the airplane feels like an extension of the river. Sandbars, bends, and gravel bars.
Dead and gone, and you've got nowhere left to run.
Sliding underneath as we work our way toward town. We drop into the town strip at Talkeetna, a place that's less of an airport and more of a launch pad. Trent, Steve, Aaron, Keith, Ron Kazina and his son Darren join us again. Abe even makes an appearance in his Helio Courier. This little village is the jumping off point for all kinds of adventures. flight seeing, rafting, and for a lot of people, the first step toward climbing Denali. Most climbers start right here, loading into ski-equipped airplanes and heading up to the glacier to begin their push up North America's highest peak. For us, the summit bid is a little more relaxed. We park the planes, walk into the historic Fairview Beer Garden for some lunch, and soak it all in. Guides, climbers, locals, and tourists, all sharing the same few blocks. After eating, we wander around town, checking out the shops, the air taxi ramps, and the kind of main street where every other doorway seems to have a story attached to it. After lunch, Keith heads back home and I jump in with Trent. The rest of us point the airplanes north and ease into airspace around Denali National Park. You don't fly over Denali so much as tiptoe around it, humbled. Peaks punching through the clouds, valleys carved like someone dragged a giant fingernail through the rock. It's one of those flights where the radio gets quieter and the cockpit gets quieter, because everyone's trying to take it all in. And just when you think you've seen big mountains before, Denali politely explains that you have not.
All right, Trent, Steve, and Aaron just took off. They're flying in Trent's plane and Steve's plane, and I'm waiting for Ron Kazina to come pick me up here at Keith's Strip. I think those guys are headed up to Wasilla to get some fuel. We'll meet up with them, then head south, go do some salmon fishing.
If there's one flight that stamped this trip into permanent memory, it's catching reds on the MacArthur River. The plan is simple. Fly out, find some fish, try not to become part of the food chain. This time, I jumped in with Ron. He's our tour guide for the day.
Do you remember me? We haven't talked in a while. How you used to dream before you gave up your smile.
We drop onto a strip near the river to meet up with a few more people. Rods come out, waders go on, and just like that, the pilots turn into fishermen. Some more convincingly than others.
All right, we just landed on the MacArthur River. At least I think that's where we are, because there are a whole bunch of little offshoots of this river. But I'm flying with Ron Kazina. He's giving me a ride, and we're gonna go look for some salmon. It's pretty sweet. It's an absolutely amazing day, and the mountains in the background are clear as can be.
Salmon fishing out here feels unreal. You're standing in this remote Alaskan river. Airplanes parked in the sand nearby like loyal dogs waiting on the bank. Every tug on the line is a reminder that this place is still wild, and that you're just visitors, arriving on little wings. Flying gets us there, but it's the moment with a fish on the line, your feet in the river, and friends on both banks that make you realize why you came. Back at Keith's place, the flying slows down, but the storytelling doesn't. It's just the five of us, Keith, Trent, Steve, Aaron, and me, parked around a campfire, working our way through a good steak and more bourbon than any POH would recommend. Never quite fades to dark in the summer in Alaska, but the flames keep the night going. We're replaying the day's landings, the near misses, and the perfect moments. Each story getting a little taller as the bottles get a little lighter. No big crowds, no agenda, just good friends, good meat, and the kind of laughs that only show up when the airplanes are tied down and the radios are finally quiet. Individually, we're all pretty good pilots. Put us together in Alaska, and somehow we all start quietly raising the bar for ourselves, seeking out shorter strips and more challenging spots, not to be reckless, but to see what we can safely and smartly pull off as a team.
Well, this doesn't suck. Y'all might recognize this plane, November 2913 Charlie. It's Brett's new float plane, and we're gonna go for a ride.
These and the tears you spent are worth it all. It's worth it all. Don't have to live with regrets. Look up and lift up your head and stand up tall. Stand up tall. Don't sleep on your dreams. No. Don't sleep on your dreams.
All good trips eventually come due. Full tanks, bags a little heavier, logbooks definitely fuller. It's time for me to head back to reality and figure out what to do about my plane in Washington.
Well, it is the end of my Alaska adventure. Aaron is gonna give me a ride over to Lake Hood over by Anchorage. He's gonna drop me off, and then I'm flying to Washington, meeting Hal tomorrow to hopefully get a new engine installed.
Out there living by an old salt mine. You wonder all the way and wonder all the time.
Just got over to Lake Hood. Catch my flight this afternoon, Aaron. It's been awesome, man. It's been good hanging out. I appreciate the flight over here, and
I'm happy to help.
I'll see you in Oshkosh.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, couple weeks.
It'll be fun.
All right, see you there, man.
Leaving Alaska doesn't come with a dramatic bush departure this time. Instead, it's a jet pushing back from Anchorage International, a climb to the same skies we've been playing in all week, and a quiet window seat saying goodbye to the mountains that made a tiny backcountry airplane and its pilot feel very, very lucky. From Whitehorse to Anchorage, Mud Strip to Denali, Palmer to the MacArthur River, Big Lake to Keith's Backyard Strip, it all blurs into one long chain of moments that feels too big to fit in a logbook entry. In the end, this trip wasn't about distance or hours. It was about a group of friends chasing the same old dream. Point the airplane somewhere new and see what you find. Thanks for coming along on this one. If you're new here, there's a whole series that led up to this flight and a few ideas brewing for where to go next. Until then, keep the greasy side down and the shiny side up, and maybe start planning your own little hop to Alaska.